Getting hired is tough. Find out tidbits of information so that you can land the job of your dreams. Hello, everyone. This is Melanie. Today, this is some tidbit of information, and today's topic is about job searching. Now, if anyone um, has had to look for a job, like myself, it is a job. I mean, literally, it's like all day, literally all day. So, when I initially started off, I had a conversation with someone, and they said, "Look, you need to get on Indeed, and Indeed has, like millions and millions of jobs, and you should be, successful there." So I went on Indeed, and so of course I created a profile, and a profile has your resume or resumes within. Not only did I create a profile for employers to look at my resume, I also went on every day to do a job search. And what I found was that, again, it was a job, but after doing it for, let's say, 2, 3 weeks, what I found was that um, it was literally like putting my resume in a black hole, and um that's it, and having it disappear, literally like having my resume like disappear. And so I'm thinking to myself, well, did I you know have a resume that stood out to employees, I'm sorry, to employers? Did I miss my credentials? And then I start going through the review process, because sometimes you think, well, your resume is not bold enough, it doesn't stand out there. And so I kind of revamped my resume, probably, I don't know, I'm guessing maybe three, three times. So I'm revamping it. At first, I had my skill sets where that was like first, so of course you read your profile or your objective, either one. And I'm like, okay, after you read that and the company gets a good idea of what you can offer the company, um, then I put my skill sets. So I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, I mean, I just went through so much. So I that was one format, and then I changed to another format, which was to have my credentials more or less higher up on the page. So again, after you create your profile and or your objective, instead of putting my skill sets, I put my credentials, which is, I have a degree in organizational leadership, or I have a master's degree in organizational leadership, and I have a bachelor's degree in organizational management, and I have an associate's degree in early childhood education. So I put that all out there, and I'm just like, okay. And so I changed it again, and I went back, and then I focused on the objective or the profile. And I said, well, maybe that's just not strong enough, because at this point, 3 weeks in, give or take, and I'm like, I should get at least one phone call, one email. Okay. So, and I kind of got frustrated. So what I did was I started doing a search. Okay. Um, I went to Indeed because I know that in today's world, Indeed is like the powerhouse. It holds all of the jobs. Um, every company probably puts their vacancies on Indeed, but I thought about it a little differently. I said, well, okay, well, what type of job do you want to do? And so, I thought about that, thought about my credentials, thought about my job history, thought about all of that. And so I did a search on Indeed. And so what I came up with was a company. And what I did was I went to that company's website. And so when I went to that company's website, I was able to see all of the vacancies that they had and not just the one that I was looking for. So I went to the company's website, and what I did, and this is some good information. This is some good information. What I did was I had to do some digging. I had to do some sleuthing is what it's called. And so after I did some sleuthing, I found out who the manager was. And after I found out who the manager was, this is where it gets tricky. But when I found out where the man or who the manager was, I sent her. Well, no, let me back up. When I found out who the manager was, I called her location. So she's located in Baltimore, where the company itself is located in Boston. So I got on the phone and I called her. Okay, so we know when we do this, there are such people which are called gatekeepers. And the reason why they're called gatekeepers is because they want to kind of screen the phone calls, that are coming in. So I got on the phone and I said, "Hi, can I speak to the hiring manager?" I had her name, and they were like, "Well, who is this?" And of course, screen the phone calls. That's what they are supposed to do. And I said, "Well, I just wanted to inquire about this vacancy that you all have, and I just needed a little bit more information about it." So from that point, again, I did not get to talk to the manager, which, for me, it was frustrating, surely. But for the people who work there, I get it. I get it. I wholeheartedly get it, because I'm pretty sure she probably would get 50 phone calls a day from people who just want to find out a little bit more information about the vacancy. So what I did was, now this guy's, I found this by mistake, but nonetheless, it helped me out. So what I did was I researched the company itself. So I'm back on the company's website and I look for the directory. Most companies, most organizations, most businesses have a directory. Okay. So for me, I did a little bit more sleuthing. So sometimes, depending on the company, they may or may not have the information that you need to get in contact, but you can get in contact with someone, and eventually someone will slip up and give you the information that you need. But for me, I didn't have to work that hard. I did and I didn't. On that particular website, it was actually broken down by regions. Okay, so um, I knew what region that this particular manager was in, and guess what? I found the email address. Now, of course, you would like to speak to someone, okay? But if you can get some kind of contact information, email, telephone number, whatever, that is golden. And so for me, I took that email address and I emailed the hiring manager. So now, mind you, this was some months ago, okay? But I emailed her and I said, "Hi, my name is Melanie Harris-Barber, and I am very interested in this vacancy that you have. I would just like a little bit more information, what is expected, and just specific details that I wanted, or specific questions that I wanted her to hopefully, hopefully answer." And so, the oddest thing happened. The oddest thing happened. After I sent that email, she did not respond. She did not. I want to make that clear. She did not respond. But someone from the home office sent me an email, give or take about 2 to 3 weeks later. Okay. And her response was, Miss Barbara, we would like to set you up on an interview, with the well, nowadays there's a couple layers when you're talking about interviews. So she said, someone from the home office would like to interview with you, and if that goes well, we will set you up with the interview with the hiring manager. Okay, my toe is in the door. Okay, so we set up the interview. I had a great over the phone interview, and and I harped on how eager I was to work for the company, and I harped on all of the assets that I had, which would help the company to move forward. And I also harped on the fact that I understood that the company was in development, a development stage here in the in Baltimore, and I wanted to be a part of that. Now I have my own reasons why I want to be a part of that, and I'll tell you about that a little later. But I wanted them to understand that I, number one, researched the company. Number two, understood what was expected of me. And number three, I had my own qualities and qualifications and, that I could bring to the company. I had I'm, I think what I do very well. All right. So that went well, not a glitch. I was excited. So the next thing is what I did was now remind you, I knew the hiring manager, and I'll keep saying that because sometimes you're going to have to dig. You're going to have to dig to get to who you want to get to. So what I did was I sent the person who interviewed me and the hiring manager an email. Thank you so much for the opportunity to interview about this vacancy. I really appreciate it. I hope that in the very near future that I could definitely sit down with the hiring manager, and then we could further talk about the skills that I have that will help better the company. Okay, so this is what happened about another 2 to 3 weeks in. Um, the hiring manager, her assistant emailed me, and she said, Miss Barbara, I'm sorry that it took us a while. It took us a while because, we can only do interviews and, different times in the month and, blah, blah, blah. Okay, perfect. When can you come in? We have this date and this date available. What day will be sufficient for you? So we talked about the date. I went in, had an interview, again, harping on, I understand that there's new development in Baltimore, and I want to be a part of that. I have great skills that I could offer the company. And in this position, I'm looking to grow. So we talked about that. We talked about growth opportunities. We talked about, everything that we needed to talk about. And that was that. That was that. So, needless to say, when I got back home, sent another email thanking, still thanking the hiring manager as well as the person who interviewed me. The interview went well. The phone interview, the interview went well. Miss So and so, thank you so much for the opportunity. I just hope that I can grow with the company. Okay, end of it. Hired. But what I want to point out is that um, if you're looking for a job or a specific type of job or what, career change, whatever you're looking for, um, you have to be that diligent And I say that again, you have to be that diligent in getting the position that you want. Um, you have to be that bold. You have to be that persistent. You have to be consistent. You have to, do things that um you you know 10 years ago you didn't have to do, and I want people, to understand that when you're looking for a job, you have to do something that other people didn't think to do, and I want to point out too that in the interview, um not only did I show up and I spoke about what I could offer the company, and I spoke about how um I could be a great asset and how much I want to learn from the company. I also took along with me a up to date resume, and of course everyone knows that your resume should be on resume paper. But um I took something that I had from my previous job. I took some things actually that I helped create. Some things I helped create and some things that I created from my previous job. And because I'm not just speaking what I've done, I'm showing you what I've done. I'm showing you, and these are her copies here. Here are your copies. This is what I've done. This is what I've created. This is the database that I did. This is this that I did. And she's like, okay, we were scheduled for, I think, a 30-minute interview, but we kind of like went over because even though she was on a time schedule, I wanted her to see what I created and the things that I have brought to, or the things that I've done to enhance the position that I was in, before. So I definitely, this is what this is. And let me explain about this. The reason why, you need this is because da 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 da. And something else. This is this, so you bring, if you can, bring what you have done so people can get the visual. So um the hiring manager or the employer can say, oh, okay, they took the extra, time to create, a portfolio, or to create examples of what they've done. Okay, cool. That other candidate didn't do that. Okay. So the point of this video, number one, is to tell you about the hiring process. If you guys don't know, let me be clear. It is hard to get a job. A friend of mine, it took her about, I think, 3 years, give or take, to get her first full time job. And we're talking about somebody at the time who earned her bachelor's degree and was working on her master's degree, and she had a very tough time, getting a job. I myself had a tough time, even though it was a little shorter than hers, but it was tough, and it's tough because we have uh what you call like engines like Indeed, and you have Monster, and you have Career Builders. My biggest gripe with Indeed is that, literally, like I said earlier, these are, I think, and I hope you guys can see, all of these were from Indeed. And this is only a fraction. This is only a fraction, and this is probably in a 2-month time span. But this is only a fraction. I print them off so I can keep um, track of what I'm doing and who I've already sent to you, and so I printed these off, and I can happily throw them away now. But I think Indeed, because it houses millions and millions and millions of um, vacancies, it's just, I felt like Not one phone call, not one phone call. And even though I revamped and did this and did that, not one phone call. So that tells me that something is not quite right. And maybe someone else had better luck than I, but really not one phone call. So I don't think Indeed is a good search engine for those who are looking for employment. And I gotta say, I don't think that it's good for employers who are looking for employees. I think something is missing in Indeed. But I'll say this too. About a week ago, I was talking to my sister, and I was like, look, um, and I am having, it's actually about a week and a half ago. I'm having a tough time here, with because the job that I did finally get took forever. I mean literally forever to make an offer. But I told her, I said, look, I'm having a tough time with, Indeed. Do you know how many applications I've put out there? And she stopped me clear in my tracks, and she said, why are you on Indeed? Like she was like, no, it's too much, it's too this, it's too that is. And so what she said was, she said, you need to get with career builders. Now I'm not saying which one works for people and which one don't, but I'll tell you this. She told me this, let's say last Monday, right? When she told me about career builders, I went that night, put my resume on there, applied for like 40 positions. And I said, and you say, how the hell did you do that? And I'm gonna tell you why. Because they have an option where if the job description or the vacancy or whatever, if it is like the same, like if you're looking for administrative assistant or if you're looking for to be a doctor, it will clump them all together and say, do you want to apply for all of these? Hell yeah, that's a time saver. That is a time saver. And so when I started dealing with career builders, I was like, oh, okay. Okay, I get it. It's simple. And then they have an app where you could do it from your phone. And again, I mean, it was simple. So within 2 days, I may have applied for, um, let's say, 50, 60 jobs just because of the way that their website is set up. And it makes a hell of a difference when you are trying to get, employed. It makes a hell of a difference. Because it's time. Okay. So I lied to you not. This is no lie. I said I applied on Monday. I was getting phone calls Tuesday. I was getting phone calls Wednesday. I had set up interviews from Tuesday to Friday. Well, I'm sorry, Wednesday to Friday. From Wednesday to Friday, I was setting up interviews. Okay, and then when I got to Friday, people were still calling me to set up stuff for the week coming in. But by that time, I had already accepted the offer that I made. I mean that was offered. So that just goes to show that it matters where you put your resume. It matters. So the information that I gave you, please, I know it's kind of like stretched out a little bit. Then I talked about several different things, but just take away this. Number one, it matters where you put your resume. Number two, it matters how you try to contact. If you are looking for a position and you really want the position, sometimes you have to do a lot of sleuthing. Number three, I think it does matter how your resume looks. And the crazy thing about that is um, you and I can be trying to fill the same vacancy, but you're looking for something, I'm looking for something different. So I think it's like it's lucky, if you get chosen in today's world, if your resume gets chosen for the next process, you're considered lucky, because again, we could have the same position, the same vacancy, but you're looking for the skill sets, and I'm looking for a strong profile. It is, really just that simple. So, um, you got to sleuth. Okay, so you got to sleuth. Do your sleuthing. Do your navigating. Do what you have to do. Sometimes it's even good to know somebody. Well, it's always good to know somebody. Number four, after you do your sleuthing, um, one thing that I know that works is reaching back out to people. So you reach back out to people, send an email, send something. I cannot tell you for the one position that I have, that I I know that lady probably has we're talking about the hiring manager. She probably has at least 10 to 15 emails from me, but that just shows her that I wanted, you know, the position. So, guys, with that little bit, of information, um, just just do your due diligence. Um, and you're going to have to, um, turn it up, a couple notches. Another thing that I didn't really harp on, but which is good information. And I was talking to my sister, and she brought this to my attention. She said, well, nowadays a good way to go if you're looking for a job, if you're out of work and you're looking for a job, or some people even use this as a career change path. Temp agencies. And so, we talked about that. And I'll just tell you, if you don't know, temp agencies are not like they were back in the day. Temp agencies have evolved. Temp agencies have become the HR for organizations and businesses that are looking to hire people. So, with that being said, they're looking for people who are, or who can fill temp positions and temp to hire positions. So it's a little different than, I remember my first temp job. It's a little different. It's a little different. So, and that's another thing. So, guys, I hope this information was helpful. When you're out there and you're on a job search. Indeed, I didn't really have a success story with that, especially with all of the um, resumes and applications that I've submitted. But I did have, I think I would have had a success story with Career Builders, and there's another one out there too, Monster.com. I think that was probably like one of the first ones that came out years ago. I haven't had the opportunity to use that one, but if it's not like Indeed, you you probably could be successful. I just think Indeed is just horrible. That's just my personal opinion. But guys, yeah. Thank you so much for listening to this, and I hope that if you're out there, you're trying to get a job, just stick to the grind, get to know people, get to networking. If you're on these search engines, these job search engines, pick one that that is suitable for you. I'll say that. Pick one that's suitable, for you. And good luck with everything.